Hey everybody, it's Natalie Bensavenga, and I am back for another edition of Facts Over Fear. And I'm really honored tonight. I remember I've interviewed you now a few times, Sister Sue, and I'm really looking forward to another discussion tonight with you about something that I think is weighing on a lot of people's minds right now, which is really the weaponization of Christianity and where it's being pointed and who it's being pointed at, and how some of these people that are perpetuating these Christian narratives aren't really living the words. And so I thought, who better to talk to than a Benedictine sister like yourself about grounding us in what it means, I think, to be a Christian or a person of faith, really, in this moment. And how can we live in that space, considering all of the chaos that is around us? So thank you so much for being here with me tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We go way back. We've done a few
Yeah.
interviews now from a few years
That's
ago.
right.
So
That's right. That's
we're,
right.
we're really seeing the evolution here. But
Yes.
I was hoping the next time we would be talking, it would be something very fun and
Oh,
frivolous. And yet here we are. So I wanted to read something to you from the Milwaukee Independent to sort of kick off the conversation. And I welcome your thoughts. And I just want to preface this conversation by saying we are not here to shame people or to belittle anyone or their beliefs. What we are trying to do is open up a dialogue around conversation about what it means to have Christian values in this moment. So I just wanted to preface that. All
thank you.
right, from the Milwaukee Independent, this person wrote on social media saying that they were a Christian, and they said, why do certain people who live in a Christian nation and call themselves Christians by following a Messiah who preached exclusively about love, particularly loving thy neighbors, seems to absolutely hate everyone, especially their neighbors? I thought that was really interesting. And the article goes on to say many residents of the United States have long projected an artificial image of living in a Christian nation where faith serves as the foundation for its moral and cultural identity. Political leaders invoke religious language, and millions of Americans openly declare their devotion to Christianity. Yet, the actions and the rhetoric of many of these self-proclaimed believers contradict every fundamental teaching of their faith. I just wanted to get your initial thoughts and reactions on that.
I'm a Benedictine sister, but I love Saint Francis. And I know there's a saying, whether he actually said this or not, there's a lot of debate. It's preach the gospel, use words if necessary. And I've always believed that our actions speak louder than words. And I think that was the message of Jesus. You know, Jesus was walked on this earth as a man of peace. Now, why is there so much anger and fear and the need to control right now? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know the remedy to that is kindness, truly living the gospel message, reaching out with peace. Um, as a Benedictine, the first word in the rule of Saint Benedict is listen. And isn't that difficult to do? And yet, wouldn't that be the answer? When we have two extremely polarized sides, the gift is to sit down and listen to each other and find out, where are they coming from? Why do they believe like that? Why do they act like that? Why do they think like that? We have to get along with each other.
Yeah.
You know, that's we have to get along. And if we're not we may disagree politically, but isn't our spiritual life supposed to be more connected? No, I just find that to be what is needed right now. It's so easy to get angry and yell and scream. You know, I always tell people, hey, I'm Italian. I go from 0 to 100 very quickly. And I have a good support system. And they'll say, settle down, calm down, calm down. And it's true. We really don't solve any problems through anger.
Yeah.
And the scriptures do not call us to be angry. They call us to love one another, look out for those most in need, um, find those who need help.
You know, when I always think about anger, anger is a very visceral reaction, right? It's like you said,
Yes.
you just, it hits you sometimes like a ton of bricks and you just react. But then I start to think, well, what is the anger a mask for? And
Hmm.
often, not always, but I think often when you pull away that anger, I think what you're left with is fear,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And so when we're looking at what I find interesting about this whole thing is when we're looking at the rhetoric that we're hearing, whether it's religious in nature, political in nature, however it's being weaponized and utilized, it seems to point itself in a way that causes people to be afraid, and then it makes them angry. And
Yes.
so, to your point, when you're thinking of your faith and the teachings that you espouse and that you try to live by, what do you want people to understand about the teachings of Jesus? Because I do feel it's important that we call out some of the mutation that we are seeing here in some of these so-called religious spaces, because to me, they are antithetical to what is actually being said by him in the Bible.
You know, Jesus had a particular empathy for the marginalized, the poor, the
Mhm.
incarcerated. That's where a lot of his energy went. That's who he spent time with. And he called out the bigots of the time. You know, he truly did call out those who he said were following all of the external rather than the internal.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's easier to just follow the external, you know.
Mhm.
But I believe that the scripture calls us to a deeper realization of who we are. It's about more. The externals can bring you into a deeper internal life, I
Mm.
believe.
What scares me is that we're invoking, these beliefs in the name of, and we're instead creating such harm and despair within community. And when ICE raided that building in Chicago the other night, mostly Black and brown community members, and everyone was forced out into the street, and people's homes were ransacked, and children were, some not even wearing clothes, were zip tied along with their parents, and they were forced to stand around. Some children were taken from their parents. When we look at that and then we see people trying to justify it, does this seem reminiscent to you in any other part of history that you've experienced or that you can remember?
Nothing that I've ever lived through,
Mhm.
but I know I'm sure my grandparents did.
Yeah.
You know, when I read the stories about that time in Europe
Yeah.
where fascism was on the rise and it was families pitted against each other, you didn't
Mhm.
know who to trust.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all manipulation.
Yeah.
It's all manipulation.
Mhm.
Because if we on the left and on the right could come together, that's where the power is. I do not know a single billionaire. I don't know a billionaire. But let
Mhm.
me tell you, I do know a lot of, and I don't know, you know, billionaires seem to hoard wealth.
Yes.
That's my judgment. That's what I observe. If I'm wrong,
Mhm.
I'll be glad to be corrected. But what I do see is the poor who are willing to share their resources.
Mhm.
And so instead of coming at this from scarcity, from you have something I don't have, from this rise of hatred, for lack of a better word, which is so anti-Christ,
Mhm.
because Christ calls us to see the divine within everybody.
Mhm.
Aren't we to see the face of God in all, even those we don't agree with? Which let me tell you is difficult.
That's
And
a
I'd like
hard
to tell
thing.
you, oh, I do that all the time, but I do not.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I pray for forgiveness and I ask for forgiveness and I try to truly see the face of God in all.
Mhm.
But boy, it's tough.
Yeah.
But we have to see what's going on. It's simply dividing us.
Yeah.
It's increasing intolerance
Mhm.
and it's anti-Christian.
Mhm.
It's anti-hatred is so anti-Christian.
Mhm.
And anti any religion.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know of any religion that doesn't preach love, the message of love.
Mhm. No, I couldn't agree more. And I think back to my grandparents as well. Both my grandfathers and my grandmother fought in World War II.
Mhm.
And I remember my grandfather was part of one of the liberation camps.
Wow.
And he was there. And I said to him when I was, 11 years old, maybe. And I said, Grandpa, can you tell me about what you saw? He
Mm.
said, I'll never tell you. He said,
Mm.
you'd never sleep again. So he said, I'll only tell you the funny stories. So of things like he did to keep his spirits up while he was fighting. But I never forgot that, Sister Sue. I never forgot that, it's not that long ago that we were fighting fascists. We were fighting for freedom for other people that weren't directly impacting us yet, right? And so I think about how that translates to the here and now of this real sense of embrace the stranger and love thy neighbor. Because to me, when I think about what's going on in Chicago and
Mm.
Portland, in other parts of the country, how much activity has been going on here with ICE right in our own backyards in Western Pennsylvania, it really concerns me that we are seemingly losing our sense of collective humanity and being so quick to turn ourselves away from people in need. And so when I go on social media and I see people creating a human wall so they can't enter a church, so they
Mhm.
can't enter a hospital, so they can't enter a neighborhood, it just makes me feel like, oh, my grandparents would feel so good right now, you know?
That's the truth. That is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I will always believe that there are more good
Oh,
than
me
that.
too.
But what do we see? We are bombarded with
Mm-hmm.
everything that's going wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, I deliver meals 2 days a week and I drive through the city and I see a lot of homeless and I
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of people helping them,
Yeah.
the homeless. I see the coffee shop downtown that will gladly give anybody that comes in, La Prima, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but
Sure.
they give any of the people from the street a cup of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
don't make a big deal about it. It's just
Right.
very silently done
Mm-hmm.
to maintain their dignity,
Yeah.
and I know I always keep snacks in the car and about $21 bills, and people
Mm-hmm.
say, don't give money. Well, people have given me money.
Right.
People have given me money as a gift, and they don't say, well, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
It's not ours to do. And I think those are the things that are going to save us.
Yeah.
These attacks that we see regularly on the news, and they're
Mm-hmm.
happening and they're horrible. And I keep thinking, what can I do? What
Mm-hmm.
can I do? And I would love to go and physically do something. And I think, but maybe, well, I do know my mission is to be here and trying to bring the message of Jesus and humanity to whoever
Mm-hmm.
I can,
Mm-hmm.
wherever I am.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I've always admired and respected you, because you and I have had so many conversations over the years, both online and off. And I've shared with you my spiritual journey, and I've learned so much about your religious journey. And it's always, I felt like we've just always had this place of mutual respect
Yeah.
and acceptance and understanding. Because at the end of the day, when I look at whether I'm talking to you, a Benedictine sister, or I'm talking to my friend who's a Muslim, or my friend who is an atheist or a pagan or Hindu or whatever, there's always, like you said, that overarching theme of love.
Yes.
And I think it's really important, whether we identify as Christian or Jewish or whatever our faith system is or is not, that we kind of remember that all these streams lead back to the same
Yes.
river, right? The same ocean
Yeah.
of human experience. And we're all here trying to figure out what it is our purpose is. And when you said, I wish I could do something, oh my gosh, I think of all the things I've seen on your page over the years that have just, if nothing else, you've inspired me.
Aw.
And if nothing else, like I know there's lots of other people just from the way you talk about the world. And then to top that off with the things that I see you do in the community, like taking care of the people in need, it's very important. And I think we can focus our energy on, yes, we want to fix the big picture, but my
Mhm.
gosh, isn't that meaning we have to start right here at home with
Right.
ourselves too?
Right. Right. And with all this, and I have to remind myself of this too. I have a great circle of friends of many faiths, many religions, many backgrounds, very poor. I have some very wealthy,
Mhm.
various the political spectrum is from the far right to the far left. And I always say I'm somewhere in the middle. But to engage anyone in conversation,
Yeah.
everyone, the people that I know, we don't agree politically on everything, but our hearts connect.
Mhm.
And the kindness there and the willingness to help. Because I do help. And so I'll say, hey, I need help with this. And
Mhm.
boom, people come to the rescue, want to help. Let me know what I can do. How can I help you, what you're doing? And I don't say, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you a MAGA? Are you a far right? Or are you a far left?
Mhm.
That doesn't come into play when there's a need. And
Mhm.
that's how we should live. I really wish we could all get back to that level playing field
Yeah.
and not have all this anger and hatred.
I think to your point, Sister Sue, when I think about all the things you just said, connecting on that human level is really vital when we remember why are we being pitted against one
Oh,
another? Right? I mean,
yeah.
let's be real here. You're talking about, you're correct, these sort of arbitrary labels that are
Mhm.
thrusted upon us from this media that is constantly in our face, that is now being controlled by fewer and fewer and fewer people,
Yes.
billionaire class controlling it. I wonder why they would want to keep us
Sure.
divided and confused and angry. Probably because they are picking our pockets every minute of every day,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And so I think what I love about what you just shared is exposure is the best remedy to
Yeah.
our anger and our fear. Because
Yes.
when you ask someone, hey, do you want to come and deliver meals with me? Maybe it's somebody that hasn't really seen people who are unhoused before or people who are food insecure
Mhm.
before, and seeing them they go, oh well, that looks like my mom, that looks like
Yes.
my sister, that looks like
Yes.
my brother. Maybe it connects a dot for them that, oh, these aren't some nameless, faceless, scary people, these are my
Right.
neighbors,
Right.
these are our children, right? And so the power of one individual taking the hand of another, I think, is not only so special, but it's necessary if we want to fight fascism. Because,
Yes.
in my opinion, I've been doing a lot of reading on this, I've been doing a
That
lot of interviews on this. We're not going to win. We don't have the military backing to beat whatever they have, right? But
Mhm.
what we have, like you said earlier in this conversation, is power of the people. There are more of us. And peaceful protest works.
Yes,
And
I believe
peaceful
that.
protest doesn't just mean protesting in the street, that's important. It also means putting our money in certain spaces and
Oh, yes. Yes.
boycotting others. And it means volunteering, it means lending a hand. Those acts of kindness create tethers to community. Can you talk a little bit about your own community and the power that you have found in sort of that sisterhood of building those bridges with
Oh,
others?
you mean my sisters, my Benedictine sisters are
Yes.
a tremendous support to me. They number one, they pray for me. They give me lots of hugs. They love me unconditionally. They know, and I've had sisters say, I can't do what you do, but I will pray for you. If I can do anything to help you, here's $5. Here's $10. Do with it what you can. My Benedictine sisters are wonderful.
Wow.
I couldn't be who I am without the community. They allowed me to become who I am.
Mm,
And I've always said I can take a risk, I can take a chance because I have my community to fall back on.
mm,
And if I fell back, they would be there to grab me
mm,
without a doubt. I have this wonderful little community of neighbors and friends and people that the women that I deliver meals to. Oh my gosh, they are incredible. So welcoming, so kind, so grateful, so
mhm.
appreciative. And I'll pray for you. They'll say, I'll pray for you, Miss Sue. And I say, I'll pray for you too. And it, I am so blessed. I know there's a fire all around us and all hell's breaking loose everywhere, but I refuse to give into it.
Mm.
I refuse to give into it. I have witnessed that there are more good people than bad, um, and I have to hold to that, or else we give up.
That's for sure. And I love what you just shared, Sister Sue, as we wrap this up, because I believe the anecdote and the healing balm that we need is that word community.
Yes,
Because
yes,
in the isolation is where the fear breeds, it's where the
right,
anger breeds, it's where
right.
people are saying, I am not seen, I am not heard. But it's in that hand being extended and people being brought in to community, whatever that looks like. That's where we can start to
Hmm.
have a change of perhaps a heart, perhaps a change of mind. Doesn't have to mean everybody has to think like me or think
That's
like
right.
you, but it means we can maybe bring down this fevered pitch, this
Hmm.
rhetoric that's leading us to violence, and to forget who we are and what we're actually meant to be doing on this
Yeah,
planet, which is to take care of one another.
right. And community is circular.
Yeah.
I always say community is circular. So there's
Mm-hmm.
always room for somebody else.
Yeah.
And if you need to step out, we can widen the circle.
Mm-hmm.
You will be embraced regardless of your needs will be met and you will always be embraced.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
kind of world I want,
Me
you
too. Me
know?
too. So we have to do it. We have to do it where we are, how we are. And I don't want to sound simplistic, like, well, this is all we
Sure.
need. All we need is love. No, we need action too. We need
Right.
to call our representatives. We need to call the senators. We need to write letters to the editor. We need to
Mm-hmm.
pray and protest. We need to do what we can, but we can't forget the ideal is community and heart and sharing all of that with each other.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Sister, for being in conversation with me tonight and really just bringing some light into these spaces and talking about the power of love, the power of social justice, and of course, community. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if anybody wants to support any of your work or any of the work that the sisters are doing, is there a place that they can go to learn more?
Well, our website is osbpgh.org.
Great.
And you can always reach me through there, or they can contact you can give them my information.
I will vet them. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. But my sisters rock.
They do.